Hi, YouTube fans. This is Matt of Post April 6th. This is the 1000th day that I've had my YouTube channel post April 6th. Yep, I'm still in my pajamas, but look what I'm up to next. Yeah, dishwashing. Look at that. I'm going to clean all those dishes and I'm going to make some breakfast. It's going to get more and more interesting. Now I got started making breakfast. Let's see what breakfast looks like as I'm cooking. There's the bacon, the hash browns, and the scrambled eggs. Yum, yum, yum. It's going to be good. There it is, the 3-3-H breakfast. And there's nice habanero sauce, hot sauce on the eggs to make them taste even better. So now here I am at the activity table, and sitting on my day bed that I can use as a couch, and I'm going to eat breakfast. Hi there, YouTube fans. I'm finally back. It took several hours to get to the point where I could film what I'm filming, which would be the things I need to film to do the remainder of the vlog. And today is, like I've already stated before, and there's some good numerical and alphabetic graphics that stated it's the 1000th day of post April 6th YouTube channel inception or in creation. I would have gotten to this sooner, but I wanted to do a little bit of planning and research to determine where a character that I have now created as another story idea. It's not a story I've written, but it's a story idea. And the story idea is about a very one-of-a-kind. He's more than unique. He's got the best memory a person could ever have. And he also has instincts that most people don't have. I mean, he would outsmart a policeman. He's a well-trained policeman. He's that intelligent. He's got a brain that's one of a kind. I tried to get some nice, I guess it was called neurological terminology to explain this, but I really couldn't find anything. You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a neurologist. I can only find out so much. But why don't I go ahead and talk about the character? Oh, before I start speaking about the character, here it is. Here's my refreshment I need to enhance filming this vlog. Okay, now I'll sit back down and describe that. Oh, one other thing before I start talking about it. I'm sorry if I'm getting a little bit too in too much information type appearance. This shirt was something I bought on eBay, and this is with shipping for a little less than $25. This is an authentic Three Dog Night. It was a background that I think that was in their 6th or 7th album. Yeah. That was before they broke up and went their separate ways. and overcame some struggles because I believe the one guy, his name, because see, and the way I say his name, there's two different pronunciations for it. It's Chuck Negron, Negron, and it's also Chuck Negron. I believe he is of Puerto Rican ancestry. At least that's what I've been told. I think he's part Hispanic. And he had a very serious addiction to heroin. And he was in jail for a while or something. And you know, they really did the bull elk. They really ran a tight ship on him and got him to straighten up. They had to. Okay, so the character's name is Rodney Victor Mcknight. Yes. He was born on the day of the presidential election of Jimmy Carter versus incumbent President Gerald R. Ford, and Ford got defeated. And this date happens to be November 2nd, 1976. He was born at 1:36 p.m. at Swedish Hospital located, I believe it's 4 to 5 blocks away from Broadway on East Hampden and South Pennsylvania. The 3400 or the 3500 block of South Pennsylvania. Because I know South Pennsylvania is one of the cross streets that's really close to or immediately surrounding the hospital. Okay. His first home was located at, well, I can't say the exact house number, but I'll tell you this much. It's right at the tail end of the 3100 block, near where the 3200 block would begin to start. But the reason why it doesn't is because South Hooker blocks it off like this. And it is on Edgemore Drive, and it's the intersection of Edgemore Drive and South Hooker Street or Way in Englewood, Colorado 80010, and the neighborhood is called Sheridan, because I looked this up on the Englewood.gov website, to find, to locate a neighborhood, and they claim it's Sheridan. Okay, his parents are Edwin, but he preferred to be called Ed, Carl Mcknight, born July 9th, 1949 at Kenosha, Wisconsin. And his mother was Marcia Anna Foxington Mcknight, born May 23rd, 1948 in Monticello, New York. Guess what is close to Monticello, New York? Bethel, New York. And guess what happened on a certain day in August of 1969 in Bethel, New York? The Woodstock Festival. That is still remembered over 55 years later. Because not only did Jimi Hendrix get even more famous, the other thing that happened was Richie Havens became famous there. And also Santana, because a band canceled and they got in at the last minute. And the other key thing that was going on with Santana was not only did they become famous because of them playing there, their first album was close to coming out. Yeah, it's true. That's what, the song Evil Ways. I mean, that was a very, very good song. And it wasn't satanic. It was him, calling a bad girlfriend to the carpet, saying, "You got to change, or else I'm not going to want to be with you anymore." All right. So back to the story. The occupation of his parents. His mother was just a housewife. I should have notated that. But here's what his dad was doing. Ed Mcknight was a CPA, certified and licensed with this firm, Willett, Johnson, and Fink's Accounting and Tax Consultants firm. The IQ of Rodney Victor Mcknight, or Rodney Mcknight, was 167. Yes. Now, things are about to get really, really interesting. Okay. It wasn't until he was like 8 or 9 years old that Rodney discussed this with his parents and did what he could to convince them, and it was this. He clearly remembers the day he was born. He doesn't remember a lot of what happened, but he does remember he's looking around, he's laying back, and he's looking around about like this, and he can't say anything. He just goes, little baby. Little babies act that way. It's the way they are. They don't know any other way to communicate. And here's what he clearly remembers seeing. He remembers seeing a female nurse here, and just a little to the right, about here approximately, and he's kind of back a step, so he's not in the way of the people that he's with. He's a clinical person who is bald with a mustache, who was either Italian or possibly Jewish. And right here, a little, he's on the far right edge. I mean, not politically, just as far as direction of where he's standing, is the doctor. Now, I did not think of a name for the doctor, but he is a well-dressed, well-groomed doctor with a really nice hair, dark brown hairdo, and he wears nice old school granny glasses. They were kind of like what John Lennon wore, but they were the lenses were a little smaller instead of fairly big. And he, in his shirt pocket of a shirt that was probably worth, in '76, this was really big bucks. A cuff-linked shirt that was white with really thin charcoal gray pinstripes, like this. Well, here, like this. And in his shirt pocket is what is totally significant to Rodney. Right here, there was what would be called a jeweler's pocket mirror, and the mirror itself was oval shaped, and it was about that big around. It's about 2 inches in circumference, or 1.5 inches, give or take. And in the middle, between the three things that are clipped into his pocket, is a blue flare pen, and over here to the right, to where the pocket comes to an end, it's the right edge, the right sided edge, is a shining gold cross ballpoint pen that you go like this to open it up and go, instead of taking the cap off and putting the cap on the opposite side of the pen and keep it on there so you don't lose the pen cap. And when Rodney was 9 years old, he was in Cinderella City Mall, and he was in a restroom that was either in Sears, Montgomery Ward's, or J.C. Penney's, and he was changing his son's diaper. While he is changing his son's diaper, you know, his dad's got his back turned. He doesn't know. And the dog walked up quietly, quite nonchalant, not making any noise. There was a German Shepherd, and while the baby's getting his diaper changed and the new clean diaper's being put on him, he's going, like that. And he goes, what? What? He goes, like that. And the dad turns around about like this. Okay, I've situated the tripod so I can do this. And the dad turns around about like this. And when he turned around like that, he saw a nice German Shepherd that had a pleasant look on his face. And the dog just wanted to be petted. That's all he wanted. He was a very friendly German Shepherd dog. He wasn't one of these trained guard dogs or attack dogs. Okay, I've readjusted everything again so I can be as presentable as possible. Okay, then what happens is when he is about 3 years old, and he's, you know, the car is backed into this one-car garage, so that him and a friend who is a professional mechanic are doing all kinds of things to try to get the car to start. The car that he is working on is a Pontiac. I would assume it's probably a Bonneville, a 1970. I want to say 1976, a 1976 or 1977 Bonneville station wagon. And you know, they replaced the spark plugs. That didn't do it. That didn't do hardly anything. They cleaned the points. That didn't do that. It showed signs that it kind of wanted to start, but it couldn't. And they also changed the oil. That didn't help at all. That didn't help at all either. And a couple of times they went psst, psst, and they sprayed some starting fluid in there, and it would do this. It'd do this. And the Rodney's just sitting Indian style in the front lawn, not far from his parents, so his dad doesn't get mad at him for running away and going somewhere he's not supposed to go. And my Rodney says to his dad, says, "Dad, I think I know what's wrong." And he turns around and he looks at him and says, "What?" "I think it's a distributor." And the dad's like, "You're a 3-year-old kid. What do you know about cars and engines that are in cars?" Well, you remember a couple of weeks ago when Mommy had to take me to the shoe store to get me some new shoes because because the shoes started to rip apart? Yeah. Okay.
Well, we took an RTD bus to the place near the shoe store, or to the actual shoe store, and then we had to wait at a stop that was near the shoe store, but it was also right in front of an automotive repair shop, a gas station that works on cars.
He says, kid, you better have a really good answer, because me and this really good mechanic over here are getting quite frustrated. What do you think is wrong? What do you think we need to do if you supposedly know what is supposed to be done?
He says, why don't you just loosen up the strip, the nut that holds the distributor in place, and turn it 15 degrees like this?
And he goes, you don't know what you're talking about. And the friend interjects and he says, wait a minute. He probably saw something you've never seen before. Because with the way he's describing it, he knows what he's talking about. Why don't we try it? And the dad goes, all right, Jim. Let's try it. It can't get any worse. And they turn it 15 degrees, and Ed gets in the car, and he turns the starter, and this car starts right up. Yeah. And then when Rodney is about 5 years old, a really nice leather bound. It's got a nice leather bound checkbook cover that's pretty thick leather. I mean, his dad paid probably $20 for this thing, because paying $20 for something like that when he was back in 1981 was a pretty heavy price. It'd be the equivalency of paying over $90 for it now. And the kid opens up the checkbook, and he goes with the last weekly deposit, and he deducts like 12 different transactions verbatim, and he double checks everything. And when he's almost finished, he's about to get up and tell his dad is standing right behind him. He says, "What are you doing math on my checkbook? You're in really big trouble." He says, "Dad, I'm sorry, but I found out that you're $1 short in your mathematics." And he goes, "What? You did something you're not supposed to do, and you're going to tell me, your father, who is 27 years older than you, that I did improper mathematics in my own checking account?" He says, "I'm sorry, Daddy, but you did. And if you think I'm wrong, you can take away my allowance that you give me at the end of this week." He's like, "I should spank you for what you just did. But I tell you what, I'll add everything up and I'll take a look. Because if you're wrong, if you're wrong on what you're saying, you're not getting your allowance, and you're grounded. You're going to your room for the rest of the day." And his dad goes through the mathematics twice. The kid was right. See, his dad thought he initially had a balance of $35.67 in his checking account, when it's only $34.67. Yep. And his dad says, I really should punish you for doing something you weren't supposed to do, but because you are so brilliant, you are so accurate and seem to possibly have what's called mathematical protege intelligence. You're right. Not only are you going to get your $3 allowance, but I'm going to talk to your mom. See, she's got a couple of bucks stashed, and I'm going to give you $1. And he steps away and he goes to his mom because his mom's in the spare bedroom doing some sewing and ironing the clothes, you know, stuff that really good housewives are good at doing. And she reaches into her purse because she's got like about at least 36 bucks in 20s, 10, a 20, a 10, and several $1 bills. And she hands him the dollar, and she goes back and she goes, "Here you go. Here's your buck." And then he says, and his dad says to him, "So Rodney, what you going to do with it?" He says, "Well, I would like to go to the convenience store and go get me a puppy." He says, "Well, go ahead, go get one." He says, "No, Dad. I think I'm going to wait. I think I need a little more discipline. I think I need to have a little more restraint and being able to wait longer for things." He says, "Well, you're a really good kid, but yeah, you're right." "Okay. Well, go ahead and put it in your pocket, and you have until 4 o'clock this afternoon to change your mind. So go ahead and go back and watch your television, and do whatever you were doing before you did something you weren't supposed to. Go on, have fun." And then that's it. And then what happens? And then what happens is when he, about a couple weeks later, it's on a weekend, him and his dad are watching a really good football game between the the New York Bills and the Colts. I think back then it was called Baltimore Colts. And they're really into it, and out of the corner of this eye, Rodney sees a guy walking through the driveway, trying to approach the front door. And it looks like this a couple of times. He says, and Ed, the father asks him, he says, "Rodney?" He says, "Why are you looking out there?" He says, and he points, he says, "Dad, look, there's a salesman." "What?" "I don't think you're right. I'm gonna get up here and take a look." And he looks out the window and says, "Yeah, you are right. Okay, I'll get rid of him." And right as he's just about to open the door and hears this, he opens up the door, and he says, "Hello, sir. I would like to speak with you about selling something." He says, "No, I'm not interested." He says, "But sir, I've got a really good deal on some encyclopedias." "No, I told you. We've talked about this before. I'm not interested. Please go talk with someone else. I gotta go. Bye." And the guy goes. Yeah. If this were a real life situation, it would possibly be Funk and Wagnall's encyclopedias or whatever. Something by Funk and Wagnalls. Okay. In August of 1984, Rodney is desperately wanting a Duncan yo-yo that his dad can get at the King Soopers, that's located on Bellevue and Federal, or West Bellevue and Federal, South Federal. And even though he wants it, Rodney has such extremely accurate instincts. He has a mental premonition that that store is going to be robbed any minute now by 3 gunmen. Yeah, that's a very scary robbery. And he says, and his dad says to him, he says, okay, if you go to the store with me and help me get stuff, I'll buy a Duncan yo-yo for me. He goes, no, I don't want to go. And he says, what are you crying and not wanting to go when you want your yo-yo so bad? Because I'm really scared. There's gonna be a major robbery. 3 people with guns. And he says, "Oh, come on." He says you're worrying. He says you're worrying yourself to death about nothing. It's not gonna happen. That store's never been robbed. Oh, come on, Rodney. You. Oh, grow up. And he says, no, I don't want to go. I'm worried I'm going to get shot dead. And his dad goes, God. All right. You can stay here, but know this. I'm not getting you a yo-yo. Sorry. You challenged my instincts. You shouldn't do that to your father. Okay, off I go to the store. See you later. And his dad goes to the grocery store, and he has one of those shopping lists. In fact, hold on. I got one that'll demonstrate that will be quite similar to it. Just a sec. It'll be a grocery list that'll be about like this. Handed out, given to, sent to him for free by a realtor or by a nonprofit organization or a Christian organization or a private school who was doing fundraising or whatever. And he writes down at least 26 different items of things he knows he's going to need to get at the grocery store. And then when he is almost 2/3 of the way done, and he's got at least 18 items, plus a couple of impulse items that he'd never seen there before that he wants to give a try and buy them and give them a chance. Some snacks, a couple of candy bars that he'd never seen there before. And then what happens is right as he's going down one aisle and he's turning the cart around to go to the next aisle that's immediately adjacent to it, he sees one guy with a shotgun and another guy with a gun concealed in his jacket, and a third guy he can see through his eyes. He's got this one of those really mean, grungy looks in his eyes, on his face. He can see it through the ski masks, and his dad grabs a list out of the part where that little compartment where you set kids down, and he runs fast out of there, as fast as he can run. And he goes through the produce and grocery stocking area, and he keeps running this direction until he sees a exit door. And he goes through the fire exit. And even though it does that sound, you know, the fire alarm would have, or fire exits would do, he runs all the way around the back, because his car is parked on the outer edge of the parking lot. And he gets in his car quickly, and he starts up and he pulls back, and then it gently moves out of there, and he gets on the street, and he floors it to a grocery store that is somewhere between South Federal and West Gerard, and South Federal and no, actually West Gerard may not be that far. So South Federal and Union, West Union, and somewhere between South Union and I believe it's Evans. You know, West Evans. And he goes into that store. It's likely either a Safeway, Albertsons, or a Save-A-Lot store, something like that. Or it's a chain of stores that is not in existence anymore. He goes into that store. He gets everything he needs, everything. And in the toy aisle, he not only finds a dark red Duncan Yo-Yo, because that's the only one that's there. There's no other choices of color. And not only is there no other choices of color, that's the only one left of the Duncan Yo-Yos. And he looks through the next aisle where there's comic books and magazines and a few paperback books for sale. And a Farmer's Almanac or two. And he sees a Superman comic book. And he grabs that for him and he says, I just hate it when my kid is right on something I think is really outrageous, but I'm going to buy this for him because he saved my ass from possibly getting shot to death. And then he goes to the register. He pays for the groceries with a nice personal check, and the funds are there, of course. And he loads up he takes the cart. He loads up the groceries himself. He doesn't have a courtesy clerk or what would then be called just a grocery bagger escort him or help him load him up. And then he drives back to the house, and he is parked in the driveway. He's parked in the driveway, and he comes in the door, and his son is, I think it's one of those gyroscope things where you go like this, and you try to make you try to do your own designs of stuff and whatnot. And he says, Rodney, as much as I love you, you happen to be right. There were 3 different robbers that came in. One had a pump shotgun. The other one had what looked to me like a .45 automatic Colt 45, and the third one had a revolver with a long barrel on it. He says, "Oh yeah? Well, I'm glad you got out of there, Dad, because I'd be really sad if you died." He goes, "Shh, calm down, kid, calm down." And he gently pats him on the head. He says, if you help me bring in the groceries, you're going to get not only the yo-yo, but a nice bonus present with it. He goes, oh, Dad, thank you. He says, yeah, I'll help you. Yeah. So then he helps him with bringing the groceries, because he'd follow his dad, because he'd have one, Rodney'd have one bag, and then he'd follow his dad who has a bag, and there's like at least 6 to 7 bags chock full of a bunch of groceries. I mean, the bags are fairly heavy. There's so much in every one of them. And then his dad says to him, okay, you got to help me put them away, because unless you help me put them away, you're not going to get your present. I'm going to take it back. He says, okay, I'll help. And he does. He says, where's the yo-yo? He says, well, I tell you what. The front door's unlocked of the car. He says, look underneath the driver's front seat. You'll see it. And he opens up the front door and he looks through there, and he can't reach it. So what he does is he shuts the door. He goes into the back seat of a 4-door station wagon, and he in one pull he pulls it right out. It's a nice bag that's about this big, and he brings it in, and he opens it up. I mean, he's all going like this, and he says, here, I'll help you out. His dad reaches in and he takes out his pocket knife and he goes, he rips it right open. And then he's like, oh, wow, this is good. And he goes, wait. He says, look what else is in the bag. He said, you're going to be jumping up and down like you've never done before. And he opens it up and he's like, whoa! And he's looking through page after page after page after page, and then when he's looked through everything, he gets up over to the beginning. He gently takes off the cover. He looks at page after page after page after page after page after page, and he's doing this for like about 10 minutes, and then finally his dad comes back in and he says, Rodney, aren't you going to play with the yo-yo? Oh yeah. He says, can I play with it out in the living room? He says, yeah, be careful, but if you get a little too wild with that thing, I'm going to take it away from you, so you be careful. And he doesn't go until his arm just is like, he's like this. And he says, okay, roll it up and just put it on the lamp table, all right? And he sits down and he says, so what are we going to do now? He says, well, we're going to watch a little more TV, and then me and your mom are going to go in and we're going to make a big dinner. You're going to love what we make. You're going to eat so much of it that you're going to need a wheelchair to get from one end of the house to the other. You're just going to love it. And what they make is some really good Italian sausage lasagna. That is the best he ever had. Yep. Okay, so on November 11th, 1986, about 9 days after his 10th birthday, I believe this might have been a Friday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it's more like probably a Saturday afternoon. His dad is missing $42 in cash. Yeah. And he is really, really upset. And he says to his dad, he says, well,
swear to God, Dad, I didn't take it. You can search my room. You can search my room. He says, no, you wouldn't be deceitful enough to take it, kid. Don't you talk to me like that on this day. He says, you got any ideas? Because Dad's quite upset. He says, yeah, Dad, did you look in the basement? He goes, what? In the basement? I don't store my clothes in the basement. He says, well, there's a hamper totally filled up to the top with clothes that Mom hasn't gotten around to putting in the washer yet. How do you know this? Because I was just down there a couple of minutes ago looking for the blue Matchbox card that I can't seem to find, and I noticed that there was a hamper that was really full of a lot of pants. Did you go through the pants? Says, no. I just glanced over at him looking at it, and I knew it was your clothes and Mom's clothes. I just looked at it for like a split second, just out of chance. I just happened to do it. I wasn't looking to see. It's like, you think the stuff's in there? I could be wrong, but I got a strong feeling it's there. I just got a strong hunch. He was like, well, I'm about to search every nook and cranny of the upstairs, so yeah. All right, I'll go down there and I'll go through all the clothes and I'll search every single one of them. I'll go through all the pockets, the whole damn thing. And he marches downstairs. He goes thump 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 downstairs, and he goes through all the clothes. And then you hear him yell, "Whoa! I don't believe it. It's here! It's here! It's here!" And you hear this dum 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 dum. It's a happy thumping up the stairs instead of a angry marching down the stairs. And he says, "Oh my God, son! Oh, you're the smartest kid around. You were right. Here it is. I counted it. In fact, I'm going to double count because it was." And everything is there. And he says to his dad says to him, he says, "Guess what we're going to do?" He says, "What, Dad?" He says, "Well, now that I got the $42 and the gas tank is totally plumb empty, I'm going to go to the gas station right near Centennial Park, and I'm going to fill up the gas tank, and I'm going to pay for some windshield wipers because my windshield wipers are falling apart, and I'm going to come back here and I'm going to talk to your mama about us going out to Toby's burgers and ice cream joint." Yeah. And he drives down there, and he drives a little slower than usual because with the gas gauge being on E, meaning empty, he suspects that there's like half a gallon in there, if that. And he makes it to the gas station, but barely, because right as he pulls up to the gas pump, the car goes. It ran out right as he gets to the gas pump, and he fills it up, and he pays for 18 gallons of gas, and he pays for the windshield wipers, which only come to about somewhere between $4 and $6, and he pays for it all in cash. And then he drives back to the house, and he says, all right, he says, wash your hands out, wash your hands, and he says, get rid of those grubby sneakers and get on your good sneakers. We're going to be leaving soon. And he takes, and the dad takes him out. Yeah. Well, this YouTube vlog of the 1000th day has been quite a long one. I think it's about time for me to stop. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this vlog, this entertainment, with me wearing this nice post-April 6th hat that I pretty much ignored and has been just hooked up to the two-prong coat rack, or coat and or pajama and bathrobe rack that hangs over my bathroom door. And again, thank you everyone for watching this vlog. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe now. And goodbye now. Thank you very much.